Hi everybody. It's just going to be a really short one today. I just got done watching a video by David Pakman called "The Truth About the Regressive Left," and I would suggest that even if you don't like him, and I don't particularly like him, but it's worth a watch. It's still quite skewed, and what I wanted to do was essentially do a video of this comment that I left because I really, again, as I've said many times before, I don't think that this tendency of the left right now toward regressive ideals, suppression of free speech and open debate and all of those things, I don't think that that is a left-right thing. And so here goes. I'm just going to read the comment. Please ignore my dog's fucking toenails. I'm enjoying the video, but I do have to call David out on his characterization of regressive behavior and shutting down debate as a right-wing tactic. It is an apolitical political tactic, if you will. It's nothing more than power attempting to preserve itself. It is the political underdog who will always promote liberal values such as freedom of speech, press and assembly, civil liberties, tolerance of unpopular or offensive opinions, and free and open debate. In the 60s on US campuses and prior, the underdog was the progressive left, and the establishment was deeply conservative. So conservative that even centrist positions were conservative compared to what we would consider centrist today. Because it was the right that was in power overall, not just in government but in social and educational institutions, it had the ability to suppress differing viewpoints and challenges to its hegemony, and it did so. The left were the political underdog and thus valued freedom of expression, because they relied on it in order to be allowed to voice their unpopular opinions. It was here that the political left became conflated with certain liberal values and the right associated with illiberal ones. And this association is essentially, in my belief, it's just a fallacy. The campus free speech movement in the US was by necessity a movement on the left because it was students on the left whose voices were being marginalized. They were the ones who needed free speech, not because holding freedom of speech as sacrosanct is some inherent property of leftism, but because at the time it was leftist speech that was being suppressed. Now, when you look at universities in the US, what do you see? 80% of faculty describe themselves as Democrats, socialists, even Marxists, somewhere on the political left. This ratio isn't as extreme in STEM, but in the humanities, the social sciences, interdisciplinary studies, arts, psychology, philosophy, and essentially any similar faculty or program, the ratio goes up to about 40-1. That's 40 left-leaning faculty members for every single conservative one. Now, keep in mind, there's very little room for politics in solving a Navier-Stokes equation. There's a definite correct answer, and all the other answers are incorrect. When it comes to the softer disciplines, the questions asked there are not correct/incorrect questions. They're much more vulnerable to political and personal interpretations. And it's in these very faculties where leftist professors outnumber conservative ones about 40-1. I expect most would describe themselves as feminist as well. Now, that is a leftist political hegemony in every university faculty and program where politics actually matter. And like the right-wing faculty and administration did during the 1960s, it will do what it can to preserve itself, even if that means throwing free speech, open debate, and other liberal principles under the bus. And who's fighting for freedom of speech on campuses now? Well, what do you know? It's anti-feminists, it's conservatives, it's Christians, it's pro-life activists. The Foundation for Individual Rights in Education spends most of its time defending the rights of those kind of people now, more than anybody else, despite the fact that its founder, Harvey Silverglate, came up was during the leftist free speech movement of the 1960s. And these people are valuing freedom of speech, not because liberal values like freedom of speech and open debate are intrinsic properties of the right or of religion, but it's their turn to need those. Liberal values are not about left or right. They're about limiting political hegemony and preserving the right to heterodoxy, no matter who is in power. This is why so many of them are written into the constitutions of various countries, because neither the right nor left will truly value them when they can afford to set them aside. Right or left, people cannot be trusted to not abuse power. This is not a right or left problem. It's a human problem. Anyhow, that's it for me. Just wanted to add my 2 cents.